Buenos nachos, amigos, and welcome, Rap Pose, to another episode of Record Breakers, another edition of the Record Breakers goodness, here to share music with each other and with y'all, in like we do on a periodic level. We're here to talk about music. I'm Petey Rave, your man with no plan. As it is plainly obvious. Here with me is my crew, my team. We've got Brett.
I do periodically as well.
Yes. We've got Drew.
Hey, what's up?
And we've got Patrick.
Hello again.
We're here to talk about music. Like I said, the provider of said music this week is Drew. Drew, what do you got for us this week?
Well, I decided to pop over to Atlanta, get some Southern hip hop going with a band that I very much enjoy because they're kind of insane. The band Outkast. And if I was going to bring Outkast, might as well give another softball and give the album that has the hits with Stankonia.
Mm-hmm. Stankonia. Yes, it has that song. And also that song. Yeah, and that song. Yeah. Well, let's talk about that album.
It's the album that doesn't go all right, and that's
the one before that.
It's the other one.
Is it before the cartoon? Yeah, it had to be. Yeah.
Possibly. Let's talk about this.
Which makes this album even better.
Brett, got some hot bangers.
Brett, what were your expectations coming into this album?
Well, I had seen Class of 3000 on the Cartoon Network, so I thought, family-friendly music. No, this album came out when I was in high school, and it also came around about the time that everybody at my school was putting subs in their V6 Firebirds. So I heard this album a bunch. I haven't heard it since it was new, but I'm familiar with the hits and also not the hits. I'm also familiar with the skits.
Yes.
But I was looking forward to listening to this because, man, this album is 17 years old. So it's been a while. And I was looking forward to seeing what I missed.
Yeah. Patrick, what were your expectations coming into this album?
I'm a casual Outkast fan who has listened to this album before, but it's been a minute, so I was happy to go back and have an excuse to listen to all of it and listen to it as an album more than the song and that other song and that other song that you know by heart.
This album is an interesting album to talk about because it's like their first album in their new studio. So it was like, hey, we have all the time in the world. Let's do some music.
Let's make a 73-minute fucking record.
Yeah. Drew, how would you describe this album musically?
Well, to describe musically, you gotta sort of... The weird part about this album to me is sort of where it came from. The great thing about Outkast, in my opinion, is the, juxtaposition of the two styles of lyricists in Andre 3000 and Big Boy. It's... You get the bigger bravado, but you also get the weirdness in both of them in ways. And I think that's pretty great. The fact that they broke onto the scene with something that in the time that it broke onto the scene was weird for hip hop, which was live instrumentation, was something that, you can obviously see that they take pride in that. But the other albums were the Aliens and Aquemini were much more laid back than this. This comes at you with a sort of manic pace in parts that was meant to sort of deliver some socially conscious messages at times. And it was manic because of what they saw around them, which I think is kind of cool. The album, to me, is just propped up by some just awesome, funk bass lines and a bass drum that doesn't do the thing in hip hop that I hate, which is you have the bass drum sound that elongates for way too long, so then like the bass speaker is just rattling constantly in the sub that Brett was speaking about earlier. It's stupid that way. And they make a catchy damn tune. There's like 3 or 4 fucking hits on this record. There are lots of songs that are still like huge fan favorites. There's inspirations from everything from just your normal hip hop to like funk and psychedelic music in this album that's just really kind of ridiculous to hear, and I don't think has been done to the same degree or as well since.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's just so much going on top of like the basic hip hop style. Not basic, the undertoning of those like southern hip hop that they throw in so many things into the pot, which is really cool.
Don't throw anything into your pot, kids.
Part of it was actually that maybe people were using some things that were a bit harder than pot, and they didn't like that all too much.
Yeah, no.
Snapping and tracking.
Influenced by rave culture, which is cool. Brett, what would be the themes elements that caught your attention?
Well, first off, this album's long. We already covered that, but this album's longer than most albums. But it wasn't painful to get through. It gives the album a lot of room to breathe, and it swings from different styles and themes. Lyrically, it covers weed, women, banging, but also covers some deeper topics. And that it sets it apart from its contemporaries a little bit, especially in that scene that I remember. This isn't it's not an album to build someone up, and it's not an album to tear someone down. It's an album where songs tell stories, and it's weird, which is cool. It's my favorite kind of hip hop, weird hip hop. Everything on this album is built upon a very, very strong beat. Whether it's a very minimalist beat and lyrics track, or whether it's a straight up Parliament-esque space funk track with reverse guitars on wah, that kind of stuff, which I enjoy. There's just an undeniable amount of style and class and a fit and finish that is very uncommon for any albums back then, because I bet they were still recording this onto tape back then. And boy, at 73 minutes, they didn't worry about wasting tape, I'm sure, because everything on this hit. Yeah, everything hit. Like everything that they tried to do, they pulled off, and they did it without like any of the weird like guy doing the rooster crow in the background or anything that just not quite right. That no sproings. There's no sproings to distract me in this album. This album is a sproing. Although
there's a man on this album that I believe is responsible for the sproing. Wasn't that CeeLo Green?
Yes.
I was running out in the pre-show of people from Atlanta, and thank you for bringing up one that I missed.
Yes.
Also, CeeLo Green is the one that was featured on the one with the backward mask guitars. So let's put that out there.
Yeah. Okay, so the genesis of the sproing in my heart.
Yes.
The spirit of the sproing is alive in this album.
Yes.
Proto-sproing.
Let it
the goody mob run deep.
Yes. Yeah. The spring runneth deepeth. The springeth runneth deepeth. I guess in other
tattooed
words.
On my back.
Yes. Patrick, what would be the themes elements that caught your attention?
So, in a lot of ways, and maybe I'm wrong about this, I am not an expert on the genre, but of the bridge between like golden era 90s hip hop and what's happening now, there's a direct link that runs through Outkast. Like they're one of the things that very much expanded the idea of what sort of musicality hip hop could have. And because of the way they had, two MCs who had completely different styles, expanded, what rap could be. So you have Big Boy, who is a traditional, very percussive rapper and very good at what he does. And then you got Andre 3000, whatever he's going by today. I ain't that smart to know.
Andre 3000.
Who is Andre 3000, I think, who is much more melodic and more in probably one of the people who influenced the notion of what's going on in rap now, where there's like a lot of guys who just make pop songs, who sing and rap at this, and mix the two together. So you've got two very different MCs who kind of complement each other. This isn't Chuck D and Flava Flav, where Chuck D was the message and Flava was the sugar to, help you get that down. This is two guys who are equals, who have very different styles and very different approaches to music. The other thing that Outkast always did was pulling from other genres that weren't usually part of hip hop. So funk has been part of hip hop forever, but B.O.B. on this is basically a drum and bass track with rapping over it. And it's fucking awesome because of it. These were guys who weren't going to be pigeonholed and limit themselves to the idea of what rap was in, 2000 or even, in the years before it when they started. They were very much going to try some shit. And this is a really good example of why trying some shit sometimes is worth it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's so much that works well on this album musically and with such a diverse sound. But let's talk about some key tracks. Drew, what would be some of the key tracks for you?
So I'm gonna run down a couple of the hits. So Fresh, So Clean. This is to me one of those songs that I have on my, hey, am I about to do something where before I walk in, I might need a confidence boost? This song is on that playlist. This song is the track numero uno on that playlist. It's something that just, if you don't feel like a goddamn pimp rolling down the street, blasting So Fresh, So Clean, something wrong with you. And Bombs Over Baghdad. Patrick mentioned the song that you know all the words to, and I'm pretty sure he was probably trying to allude to Ms. Jackson. Bombs Over Baghdad is the song that I know all of the words to.
Bombs Over Baghdad is the song you should know all the words to.
That song is one of my favorite hip-hop songs of all time, period, bar none. The manic vocal delivery, the beat that just hits perfect, the snare drum tone in that record is what I think all hip-hop snare drum tone should be, is from that. And then, to leave it out, I'm not going to do the other hit. I want to bring up Stankonia. The ending track on this lets you remember, hey, by the way, don't forget that the album you just listened to is a fucking Outkast record. It's going to be real weird. We're a couple of dudes that just like music and happen to do hip-hop. But we have more diverse musical interests than just hip-hop. We're not going to do just hip-hop all the time. It's a weird song. And they end you on that weird thing and just drop the mic and be like, yeah, no, yep, some stank love. Like, what? It's a psychedelic song at the end of a rap record. Like, what? It doesn't make any sense.
That's right. You tickled me.
Call back.
Certified stank. Yeah. Brett, what would be some of the key tracks for you?
Well, Ms. Jackson, it's a quality S tier song. It's certified stank. It's I love it. I can't not do it. It's one of those genre bending songs that appeals to such a wide range of fans of different music genres, and it's so unlike what I remember the sound of hip hop being at the time, even the hip hop of the area of the time. And I remember it being a fresh sound that I had never really heard before. And this was long before I knew it was cooler than being cool. And B.O.B., another song off this album that you couldn't escape from during the turn of the millennium, and for good cause. It's a really great song, and it holds up ridiculously well. If this song was released today, it would be a hit. This is a song that holds up, and you can understand why at every basketball game in the world you'll hear this one time in between timeouts or something. And Slum Beautiful. We got ourselves a wah-wah guitar that somebody reversed and made play regular ways. It's pretty awesome the way that it's just thrown. It's so dissonant. It isn't even musically, like it doesn't even fit. It's just like, let's glue this weird shit on top of this song. And and along with that, the vocals had like a room echo that was not quite the space echo of the guitar, but a complete other kind of reverb it would sound pretty hip. It was cool. It was a real toe tapper, even though it wasn't really a toe tapping song. Every time I listened through that, I was like, man, I should get that track and reverse it and see if they're just like, what is somebody playing? And is it going to be something ridiculous like Crosstown Traffic or something? Like, is it just going to be like some Hendrix lick that they reversed? And that's going to make me do Record Breakers the homework after we're done.
Yeah. Patrick, what would be some of the key tracks for you?
So I'm going to pick a few obvious ones, but I'll start with the opening track, which isn't the opening track because there's an intro, but Gasoline Dreams. This is very much what Outkast is. Andre 3000, the melodic MC, Big Boy, the guy who does the very percussive rapping, and has a great flow about it. It's a fun song. It's got a good hook. It is a distilled Outkast song, especially their more traditional hip hop side. Then probably the second best song on the record, Miss Jackson. This is such an iconic song of its era that I don't think has aged a day in 17 years because Miss Jackson pulls from so much of the history of R&B and rap and has a really, really brilliant hook. It works today, but also like you get to see Big Boy rapping absolutely perfectly, but also Dre doing his thing with his own unique flow and his own unique ideas on how you can rap. And because of that contrast, like you get something that's greater than either of them can do on their own. And no offense to either of their solo work, they're better together. And I don't think anyone in this podcast is going to disagree. Like they complement each other very well. And this is a really good example of why two very different MCs together are better than one, than either of them on their own, or even like one really good MC. And then I'm going to talk about Bombs Over Baghdad, B.O.B. This is probably, I looked, actually, this is pretty much named the best rap song of the early 2000s for a number of reasons. That was on a couple of lists. It has the pace of a drum and bass track with this super frantic, super fast rapping from both Dre and Big Boy that it just makes it. And this is also there was this time in the year 2000 where we weren't constantly at war with the Middle East for 16 years in a row for no reason. And this song is not about that war, but it's called Bombs Over Baghdad, so don't let that scare you away. It is about how bombing a country is like sex somehow. I ain't that bright. I ain't that hip hop literate to understand every nuance of it. But also, they called that shit a year ahead of time.
Well, it started out with the sexual no-fly zone, and when the sexual no-fly zone got encroached. Okay.
But some Chechen rebels, someone, I don't know.
To distill it to what the song is, it's got a fucking killer hook. The rapping is unbelievably good. So, you can fast rap like Busta Rhymes, and that's awesome, and I enjoy that.
Yes.
But this like the pace and the momentum of this song, like it's not that this song is super fast, but it is. It has like a momentum to it. Like there is heft behind the pace. There is weight pushing it. It has this really great guitar solo over a table solo, like 3/4 of the way through it. And like rap rock didn't turn out well, but like the idea wasn't totally awful. Like tables plus a guitar solo is kind of fun. And Outkast managed to make that happen. And like I go back and forth on whether this song or Miss Jackson is better. And I don't think you're wrong if you choose either one. But I remember, I just thought of this while we were recording a couple of years ago. I was in the car. I was in my old car, which had a quote unquote system in it, because I worked in retail electronics where you can buy really high end audio gear for 75% off. Yes, that shit is marked up that much. And I had a pretty serious stereo in my old car. And I remember like his first experience of Bombs Over Baghdad was in my car, cranked the fucked up. And like he had heard more modern Outkast. He was familiar with Hey Ya, the best song of the last 20 years. And I will stand by that. But this song like blew him away. And it is such a cool song, and it has not aged a day in 17 years. It is still fun. It is still unique. Not a whole lot of people in hip hop can do a song like this where you've got a great hook, incredible rapping skill from two different dudes, and a beat and a pace that is usually reserved for electronic music where no one has to pretend to do that shit live, where these guys can do this in front of, thousands and thousands of people. Please, Outkast, come back. We need you. Please.
Yeah. We need more Outkast. Just some great music that we are being denied. Let's bring it back around the horn. Talk about some conclusive thoughts. Brett, what will be your conclusions on this album?
This album, we don't need to tell you that this album is a highly regarded and respected album. It's read the internet once. Everybody else, it seems to say that this is a great album. So who are we to tell them any different? This is fantastic. 17 years out. It's not likely going to end up in my rotation, but that's not. It wasn't a bad time to go back and do my trip through time. I lived this when it happened. It's something that I can listen to and be like, yeah, that was a couple of ex-girlfriends that I forgot about, who played these songs over and over and over in 2003 after I was sick of hearing it for 2 years. But yeah, it takes me back to it's surprising. 17 years ago was a much simpler time. Like, honestly,
I was playing Diablo while listening to Bombs Over Baghdad that I downloaded from Napster.
Yeah, and like it was mentioned before, we had not yet sent boots on the ground into foreign deserty areas.
We had it. We had bombed Baghdad, but it was.
Well, yeah, but we didn't have boots on the ground yet.
Yeah, it wasn't. We weren't in the endless war yet.
It was the half of my life where we weren't at war. So yeah.
At least not constantly. Yeah. Let's Patrick.
Yeah, I'll tell you again. Yeah, as certified stank.
Patrick, what would be your conclusions on this album?
I was happy to go back and listen to this. It's been a while. Not the Stain song. But this was like a reminder that Outkast needs to exist again. And I understand that both of them like making solo records and have some ideas that are their own, but put that shit back together and make Outkast again, please. I'm begging you. We like you. You make good music. This is a really good example of what hip hop should aspire to be. It isn't. At no point do I feel like it's catering to an audience. At no point do I feel like they made songs to be played on the radio. They just made really good music that pulled from a diverse group of genres and sort of, melded around the idea of hip hop. It's really good. I enjoyed listening to this again. It's really fun. I still say Hey Ya is a better song than anything on here, but I'm a weirdo and I really love that song, like in a totally it never got overplayed for me way. But like, go back and listen to Miss Jackson if you haven't in a minute. That song's fucking perfect. Like that should be taught. That's a song that will be taught in music history classes in 30 or 40 years because it is just a great, like, in an era when like the early 2000s were not kind to hip hop. I think
Are you for real?
Like late 90s, early 2000s, all I can think of when I think of hip hop is Big Willie style, for better or worse.
That was not bad.
Like 97, 98-ish.
Yeah, like there was a lot of super.
Well, I will accept Puff Daddy.
Yeah, but there was a lot of hip hop without any depth.
Like move,
fine.
bitch, get out the way. Like
I was just about to post roll out in the back chat.
I'm just saying between
use a hoe.
Between like this golden era of the early 90s and sort of its resurgence now, where there's a lot of interesting stuff going on that, as we've discussed on the show, I don't necessarily get, but I can appreciate.
Like a chance.
I mean, like having hoes in different area codes is serious business.
Yes, it was.
One of these days, I'm gonna bring word of mouth just so that Brett can.
That all the shtick will come out.
It's
mouth. Brett will get all his shit
maybe
in.
7 F's.
If there's kids that are
Brian
listening
Cage.
that don't understand what I'm saying, no, the album was called Word of Mouth, MOUF.
Yes.
It's that guy from all those Fast and the Furious movies you enjoy.
The hacker one.
But like this was just a reminder that that whole era wasn't devoid of interesting, timeless, really good music. Outkast they're as good as people talk them up to be. Like they deserve the praise, and please come back.
Yeah. All right. Brett. I mean Squiggles. I mean DJM. I mean Pat. I mean. It's funny. I did the same thing to you two that my grandma does to me and my older brother. She goes, his name's Bernard. So he goes, Bernard, Pedro.
Yeah, that's the universal grandma. That's I think that's
my great grandmother called me
niece.
Steve for at least 4 years.
Yeah.
I haven't. My uncle's name is Steve.
Yeah, it's like.
It's about.
I think
30,
she's also done it with like my sister and like one of us. She's like,
it really hurts when it's a dog's name.
But yeah,
that's fair.
Drew, what would be your conclusion on this album?
Yeah, Steve.
Thanks. Outkast is one of those groups where they. In my opinion, they burn bright for like 3 records, right? And then the Split album came out, and that was super weird and not what I liked about Outkast. And then Idlewild was sort of a thing, and they keep teasing with these like reunions. It was so inventive. I don't think like the alternative hip-hop scene, the things you're seeing with like the experimentation in sound that you get with your like Chance and your Gambino and things like that they're not afraid to experiment with sound, and a lot of that was really pushed, I think, to new heights due to Outkast. No one's done the same things that they've done. I'm not saying that because I don't think you could do it like they did it, because those two personalities were what made those songs from a musical standpoint what they were. This is this is one of those albums I brought that, like I said, I want to listen to hip hop, and I figured this would be an easy one to get somebody like Brett into, because even if you're not up on hip hop, even if you're not a huge fan of rap music, you're not breaking out the 2001 Still Dre and all that.
Hey.
Smoke weed every day. Yes,
I was there in the 2000s. I can talk about the 2000s.
It's Dre Day, but this is something that I think musically is something that's really crazy and something that's really out there. And there are certain bands that you hear them and they get hits and you're like, this is empty. There's nothing to this. And then there's folks like Outkast who this album is full of hits. This is like a Tom Petty record where it's just like, oh, there's just like 4 or 5 hits in this. Like, what the hell just happened? Like, this record just has hit. Like, what? But they have the substance that even the like music nerds that, ooh, I hate the radio. That you hear Outkast and you can't hate it. Like, there's an inventive nature to it that I think anybody can enjoy. I think even Squiggles will enjoy some of this hippity hop.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the whitest guy we know.
Yes.
Close.
Him and Cass.
Yeah.
Can we give both shout outs?
Yeah, I want to get those guys together and listen to word of mouth.
Yes.
Yes. Oh my God. Wait, can we do that?
Do we just create the greatest episode in the history of this show?
Can we have a 6-person episode with Squiggles and Kaz?
And Kaz about word of
Be like
mouth.
Mr. Horse. Hot takes.
We gotta figure that out. Hold on.
We'll figure it out.
Please.
The octuple box.
Yeah, that would be a funny episode. God.
It's already funny.
Yes, it's already funny.
Doesn't
This is like it's already.
It hasn't happened yet, and we're already laughing at it.
I may have just tweeted it. So.
All right, that'll be fun to do or discuss or happen. But beyond that, let's concentrate on today's episode. Stankonia. Now let's transition over. Now we have our thoughts, conclusions. Let's transition over to our main event of the evening. We got our haiku reviews. Sum it all up in fun little haiku funness. Yeah. Brett, what is your haiku?
A musical gift. While it's not really my thing, I appreciate.
Mm-hmm. I appreciate. Patrick, what is your haiku?
A modern classic. 2 MCs better than one? Please come back, Outkast.
Mm-hmm. My haiku. Dirty South hip hop, influenced by many styles, absolute classic. Drew, what is your haiku?
Usually I can't stand Atlanta stuff, but Outkast is cool.
Yeah. Yeah. You can of course find this album on our Spotify playlist. Play Record Breakers the home game. Play along at home, listen along at home, do your homework. Yeah, do all the things. On the Spotify playlist, presumably, will be next week's record, barring a guest or if I drop in a guest episode. It will be my episode. I will be providing the album next week, and this is gonna be probably not a very interesting, but it's gonna be a fun little album to talk about. It's gonna take me back to my college days, and by college I mean community college days of taking the train downtown and listen to this on my Discman.
There is nothing wrong with community college. It is a great way to learn stuff after high school without spending way too much money.
Mm-hmm.
He says with piles and piles of debt.
Yeah. But yeah, that being said, that is the time where I had this on my Discman, listened to it multiple times. And we're talking about, we're talking about Phantom Planet, the album The Guest. There's a song you might recognize as a theme song to a TV show. I'll let you have a guess which one. But yeah, that'll be next week, and this is but that is next week, and this is this week. And you can of course find us all over the internet. Patrick is at the Swagger. Brett is at HeyBDBrett, Brett HIBBI2YBIBBARD. Drew is at X Drucifer X. I'm at PD Rave. The show is at 4 Record Breakers. That's the number 4, numeral 4. Record Breakers. RecordBreakersPodcast.com. RecordBreakersPodcast@gmail.com. Rebelli TV on YouTube, Rebelli.net for this and other shows. Yeah, subscribe, like, share, do things, comment, review. Yeah. Until next time, hasta los huevos.
Because my side mirror's flap like a fucking bird. Toodaloo. Toodaloo, too furious.
We're coming for that number 1 spot.